What does it look like when the UConn men put it all together? We found out earlier today, New Year's Eve. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy New Year's Eve night, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Schonvisky, a two-time graduate, 10-year credentialed media member, and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, the men absolutely dismantled Xavier in their final action of 2025. Then, the women were equally as dominant in Providence. And finally, the list of transfers for UConn football is growing. We'll summarize. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So the UConn men, final action of the calendar year, 90-67 win over Xavier. Huskies improved to 13-1 overall, 3-0 in the Big East. Best start in Big East action in quite some time, and it was everyone filling up the stat sheet. Caravan led the way with 19. Solo Ball and Braylon Mullins had 17 each, and Terrace Reed had 10 points, 8 boards. Huskies, dominant. And listen, Braylon Mullins, what's that song? What are those lyrics in that end of your song? When March Madness finally wraps up, Braylon Mullins, I could see it now. You're a shooting star. He is just getting better and better and better. And his one shining moment is going to be coming later this year. The UConn Huskies' one shining moment is going to be coming later this year. They are just that good. Clicking on all cylinders. And Silas Demery, right off the bat, I think he was the first one. He hit the three to start the game. Thought he was going to be getting out of his slump. He only took 4 shots in the day. 5 points total. That 3 to kick things off. He had 2 free throws. That was his only make of the day. But he had 7 assists, 4 rebounds, distributing, pacing the Huskies offense. 90-67. Exactly what you're hoping to see. Exactly what you were looking for from an overall performance standpoint. And if we go back to the start of this year, what was the thing we were most focused on that was lacking? It was rebounding. And once again, 42-26 on the boards. Huskies cleaned up. And they only gave up 5 offensive rebounds while getting 10 of their own. So second chance points, Huskies were able to create opportunities for themselves. And just so efficient. 53% from the field, 46% from 3, 79% from the line. And the defense held Xavier to 22% on 3, 4 of 18. So it was just a great all-around performance from the Huskies. Got to see some guys that haven't really played much at all this year. Furphy got a bucket in the lane. And then Panovich got 2 points. And even Millender got a chance to play 3 minutes on the day. So UConn closed 2025 with a bang, and it was the start we were looking for. First 2 games, slow starts, right? Slow start against Butler. And then I carried over to the second game against DePaul. But then this game, what was it, 10 days off in between games? Something close to that. 90-67, right out of the gate. Took it to Xavier. Exactly what we were looking for. Exactly what some of the pain points were of what they need to clean up. Slow starts. And they were focused. They came off that extended break, the Christmas break, holiday break. Focused, ready to go, full strength. Solo Ball returned, 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. This team is going to be tough to beat, I'm telling you. As long as they're healthy, they're going to be very hard to beat. So UConn improves, like I said, to 13-1, 3-0 in the Big East, and they will return to action. First game in 2026. When they take on Marquette this coming weekend. So Sunday, 2 p.m. Return to action at home. And listen, Marquette is not the best team this year. Maybe slowly getting better, maybe slowly improving, but they've struggled this season. So as we look ahead and turn the page from Xavier to Marquette, I'm sorry, 0-3 in conference. So they have not improved. I don't know what is happening up in Marquette, but they've just been struggling. 9-point loss to Georgetown. Got crushed by 21 at Creighton. And then, listen, Seton Hall's improving. Beat them by 6. So listen, Marquette historically tough. This year, taking a step back. A close loss to Oklahoma by 1. Lost by 6 to Dayton, 7 to Maryland. Blown off the court by 23 to Indiana. Blown off the court by 20 to Wisconsin. Blown out by 20 to Purdue. Blown out by 21 to Creighton. So listen, you have an opportunity to once again close a game, step on throats, and that's what we want to see this coming Sunday. But the Huskies are rolling. And speaking of rolling, the UConn Women, who we will get to after the break. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So we talked about the men in their quick start earlier today. And then there's the women. My goodness. Now 14-0 on the year, 5-0 in the Big East. 30-7 after 1. You can't start a game much better than that. AZ, Sarah Strong, Blanca Alfie leading the way for the Huskies. AZ put in 18 on 6 of 12. Also had 6 assists and 4 steals. Sarah Strong, not to be outdone, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists. And Blanca, 11 points, 5 of 11, 1 of 4 from 3. Alfie, 5 of 6 to get those 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. I don't know what more to say about the UConn women this season. But 30-7 speaks for itself. And 12 of 16 from the line. 75%. Exactly what we were looking for once again. So we talked about the men and their slow starts and continuing to rebound and stay healthy. Check, check, check. The women, really the only thing focused on were free throws. 75%. And maybe the slow starts as well. Because if you think back the last couple of games, Geno's had to burn a timeout. 30-7. You can't get a better start. Held Providence to 35% from the field. Defense once again stepping up. Had 16 steals. Out-rebounded 36-25. They out-rebounded Providence. Game was over after 1. Rest of the way, it was a 14-point game. They won by 6, 6, and 2. The final 3 quarters. But they took it to Providence. out of the gate in their final test of 2025. So looking forward with the women, Saturday, they've got Seton Hall at home. And then St. John's, Creighton, Villanova before the big matchup with Notre Dame. So the women and the men, we are going to have on New Year's Day, we're going to have projections for 2026. An early peak. One of those projections, dual titles. Because neither team can really play any better than what they just did in their final showing at 25. And with these coaches, with these rosters, continued improvement is going to be key and is going to come. Because these teams under Gino and under Dan Hurley do not regress. They get better and better and better. Are there dips at times? Yes. But there's a consistent uptick. So when we get to tournament time, we're not going to be seeing lesser performances than what they're doing on New Year's Eve. Completely focused in front of, listen, Xavier packed the house, and UConn took them out of the game immediately. So they're going on the road in these tough environments. How did 2025 start? Fog Allen, MSG, Boston, away from home, tough environments, challenging themselves, which is only making them stronger. Their mental makeup is only getting stronger. And now that they're healthy and the rotation is determined, you're seeing what the finished product could be. And it's only going to get better from here. And I know Jaden Ross didn't get on the court against Xavier. He's going to add to an already potent bench and suffocating defense and the intangibles that this team needs to be successful in March and April. And then on the women's side, the growth, the development continues to a point where, yes, 2026 early projection, dual championships, not only on the table, they are being predicted here on Locked On UConn. So as we continue on today's show, we will be moving from the hardwood over to the gridiron because Jason Candle is dealing with a very large transfer portal class of current roster, no surprise, that has submitted their name into the portal. And we will summarize on the other side. There's nothing like college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I opened the Game Time app to look at upcoming college football games and was surprised how fast it was to find great seats, like looking back the Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park in Boston. The app is incredibly easy to use, went from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. Love being able to see the view from my seat before buying, so I knew exactly what I was getting. Zone deals stood out. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. Knowing prices includes all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Back in on this final segment and the final show of 2025 here on New Year's Eve night. Switching gears to the gridiron and the transfer portal. which is now 32 players strong from the current UConn football roster. So not only are the Huskies losing all their seniors, all their graduates, but at the moment, there are 32 players on this current makeup of the roster in the portal. There are several, which I hope the Huskies prioritize to help return back to this roster, such as Victor Rosa, Diamande, Cyrus Gilbert, Ben Morosky, Karsten Cassidy, Mel Brown, Brady Wayburn, Cam Edwards. The list goes on and on and on, to be honest. But there's a full list that are very important to prioritize. Shamar Porter's one of the latest, entered earlier today. To prioritize and see if you can bring back Juice Vereen, Alex Honig. But 32 players. It's not a complete surprise. This is what happens when you have coaching turnover. It's also what happens when you have back-to-back 9-win seasons. You add in coaching turnover, and you add in the additional opportunities that are going to be there for all of these players that help produce a winning program. A guy like Shamar Porter, who's been underutilized to date at the receiver spot here at UConn. But when he gets the opportunities, is consistently producing and has made highlight reel catches time and time again. One-handed grabs for touchdowns. Huge plays in big moments he's come up with. That's a guy who's started his career at Kentucky, has won 9 games his only time he's been here at UConn in 2 seasons. 9-9. So you now have a program that are full of winners that have been pieces and key contributors to a program that has outperformed something that they've never done at this school. So, of course, there's going to be interest. Add on a coaching turnover. It's just what happens in this day and age of college football. And it doesn't mean all 32 players are going somewhere else. We know that Cam Edwards can return, is open to returning. This is where UConn's NIL is going to come into play, as well as how quickly can this coaching staff develop relationships with these players, because there's going to be a ton of opportunities with Coach Mora at Colorado State. There'll be a ton of opportunities down at TCU with Coach Samus. On the defensive side, there will be opportunities at Mississippi State with Matt Brock. Say what you will about the staff. But there will be interest in each of those players because they contributed and were key pieces to the development of this program, both offensively and defensively, and the program as a whole. So certainly there will be opportunities at each of those spots right off the bat. And then, if you're a local kid, if you see what Coach Candle's building here at UConn, and you want to be a continued part of the further development of the program, such as home state Cam Edwards, Ben Morosky, Victor Rosa, maybe some others, maybe you relook at UConn as an opportunity. There are key names on this list. Mel Brown, Cam Edwards, Morosky, Cassidy, Wayburn, Juice Vereen, Alex Honig. The list goes on and on offensively. And as you split some of the offensive pieces, I think that creates further competition for some of these players between what UConn can offer and then, listen, Bryce Tracy taking over as offensive coordinator at Colorado State. So, yes, Jim Moore, a defensive guy, but he's also pulling in an offense and an offensive staff that's probably going to draw some interest. Kashif Moore, wide receiver coach, going to Colorado State. So, yeah, Shamar Porter's in the portal. Wouldn't be shocked if he ends up there. And then when you have Coach Samus, who's coached the offensive line, You have your offensive line coach of many years going to TCU, and then you have your assistant offensive line coach, and then who took over ultimately as offensive line is now the new offensive line coach at Colorado State. So UConn will be competing with those schools again for Morosky, Cassidy, Wayburn. Torian Johnson was a late add recently. So key pieces that built up this offense, you're going to have to try to win back. And then you're also going to replace at the same time. So some of these players might not be the fit for what Coach Candle and his staff want to do. The production there speaks for itself with certain players. Cam Edwards, Mel Brown, etc. What's the run scheme coming in? That's something we need to figure out. Because Jim Moore over at Colorado State is talking about how we're going to be the best outside zone run team in the nation. Well, Mel Brown and Cam Edwards, that suits them perfectly. Victor Rosa as well, even though he was underutilized here in the minds of some fans here at UConn. But is Coach Candle bringing that same offensive concept to line play and blocking in the run game? Remains to be seen. So that's another thing that we need to figure out. Like, these players need to process what's going to put me. Yes, I'm looking at other opportunities. Yes, we would like to come back to UConn. But at the same time, what spot is going to give me the best opportunity to be successful and to accentuate my skill set, to be even more successful moving forward? Which only makes sense. So if you're running back, let's take Cam Edwards, Victor Rosa, and Mel Brown. MJ Flowers as well, because he's a great, in my opinion, he can run outside zone as well. But when they look at their opportunities, they're going to go to a place that accentuates their skill set? Or would they consider coming back to UConn because it's a local school to help? Because it very well might be a different run scheme, which is something at the running back position you need to take into account. Same with offensive line. What are you going to be asked to do? You've been very, very successful in the scheme we've been running here at UConn over the last handful of years, 4 years. Is that the best thing for you to develop yourself as an offensive lineman? So there's some other things that come into play, not just with, oh, that's a new coaching staff. Do I want to stay? It's also assessing, hey, what's the look and feel going to be like? How do I fit into what we want to do going forward? How does that impact my future in the game of football? Because we are playing big boy football here at UConn. And with the introduction of NIL, you're attracting, and you've been attracting, key cogs that want to play football beyond college. And this NIL era has proven that you can very quickly turn a college football program from a bottom feeder to a football powerhouse overnight. Just look at Indiana. So NIL is creating, we're going to talk about this. So I talked earlier in the show about one of the things that we're going to talk about in 2026 projections. We're also going to talk about college football and how NIL is creating parity across the sport. We'll talk more about that on our New Year's show. But a lot of decisions need to be made. And it's not just, do I want to stick at UConn? It's not just, do I like a certain coach? It's, how do I fit into what these coaches are going to look to do, and how do I fit into that, both from a player standpoint as well as a skill set standpoint. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. And as we move forward, listen, Friday, the portal opens officially. We will have full coverage on Friday. Do we see more names? Do we see additional offers? Do we see any commits coming? Because obviously, there's a lot of players from Toledo who have entered the portal. Are we going to start seeing some of those come here? Are we going to see some key pieces that could be key parts of UConn going forward start to commit? It all happens Friday, midnight, 12:01. So as we wrap today's show, that's what we're going to be looking at the rest of the week. So New Year's Day, we'll be looking at projections for 2026. And then on Friday, we'll talk football, transfer portal. And then there's some basketball games this coming weekend that we'll take a look at. Hockey finally returns to action. Maybe we get some hockey talk as well. So with that, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And for a second listen, let's check out Locked On Sports Today, hosted by Peter Bukowski, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And as always, go Huskies!